Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Asma. I am an international medical graduate and I'm working in the NHS UK. The purpose of my video today is briefly to introduce about myself and then basically give guidance regarding specialty training in the NHS. So overall, I will say if you have a membership exam, you have fully finished your membership like MRCP-CH or MRCP, and if you are eligible for GMC registration, so there is no doubt that you can't apply for the specialty training. I will guide you through my experience and give you all the details which happened during when I joined in NHS and later on how it went, and also a general guidance on how the specialty training windows are, how the application works, and take you through the process. It would be brief, but maybe I can explain certain steps in detail later. So about myself, I am pediatric doctor. I finished my graduation from Pakistan and I did my specialization in pediatrics, which is FCPS. In my case, this FCPS gave me a chance to get registration with the GMC. However, I had the written parts of MRCP-CH cleared as well. So when I moved to the UK with my first NHS job, I kept on reading and revising for clinicals, and I was able to clear my clinicals here in the UK in Sheffield. So that helped me for the further application and registration for the training. So presently I'm working as a ST3 subspecialty doctor. Regarding my journey, it has been, I think, I would rather generalize myself, because most of the international medical graduates who have experience from our countries, and then they first come in the NHS, they experience, they taste waters, they think, they try to adapt themselves with this life in the UK. And then while working in the NHS, you just make your way for the progression of your career. So similar was the case with me, and because I have been practicing pediatrics with special interest in neurology, so I was quite clear in my mind what I would be doing in the UK. My basic aim was to get the subspecialty, because if you get a subspecialty from UK, it's like highly regarded and definitely very satisfying, and it really solves the purpose of your old struggle and everything. But like everyone, I joined my first job as the trust grade doctor. Initially worked as an SHO, and then soon after a few months I was upgraded as a registrar. And that was the time I told around that when I cleared my clinicals in MRCP-CH. So while in this journey for the first, I would say 2 years, it was quite overwhelming, to be honest. There is a lot to understand, there's a lot to learn. It's not just medicine that you keep on struggling, or I would say not struggling, like keep on learning, but also there are various social factors which keep you on your toes all the time. So for the first time when I applied in the subspecialty and pediatric training, I didn't get any success. But that application process and that filtration really helped me to guide myself to what things I really need to focus on. And I think when later I applied for various specialties, I was selected in all of them. So I applied in pediatric ST3, ST4, and I got selected in ST4. I applied in GP, and I got selected in my hometown, like nearest hospital for GP as well. And I applied for a very special niche, which is clinical neurophysiology, which is basically a diagnostic specialty in neurology. and it was quite niche, quite new, and I was very enthused to apply on it, and I got into that as well, and that is where I am today. I am ST3 clinical neurophysiology, and I'm working in Great Ormond Street Hospital, London, which most of you would know is one of the world's best center in pediatric training and procedures, and we see very frequent epilepsy surgeries and all the very advanced medicine. So coming back to how this process worked for me. So I guess once we are new in the NHS, it is a very steep learning curve, not only in practical aspects, but also in getting confidence, keeping yourself composed, and working on a focus. So I would say first time when applied, I can now reflect back on it, what were the deficiencies, and then how it progressed, and I was quite assertive that this time I might be successful, and that was the case. Definitely it's all destiny, it's all fate, it's your efforts as well as prayers and everything, but I think a few basic steps, if are followed, will help you in a long way, especially for us people like international medical graduate who already have experience in our countries, and we are like in the middle. We are not very young starters like foundation doctors, and we think that we are qualified, of course, with our own struggles and qualification, but the UK systems works in a different way. Although I must say that UK is a country which has tremendous opportunities for international medical graduates. People from all over the world come here, not only from Southeast Asia and Asia, Middle East, as well as Canada, from Europe, and they have really sorted out their position, and they are in positive direction in progression of their careers. So as I said in the beginning, if you are eligible for GMC registration, I would say in my case it was MRCP-CH because I'm a pediatric doctor, but even if you have done PLAB exam and then you have got your registration, you have all the reasons to apply for the training programs. There are various training programs, and they start at ST1 level, and then there is the national round 2, which is for ST3 and ST4 doctors. So my focus, as I said, is for the ST3 and ST4, which is the level 2 training in pediatrics. So now I will take you straight to the steps and the requirements to getting into the pediatric training at ST3 and ST4 levels. So I would say this process has two parts. One part is that you need to follow RCP-CH guidance, and they have very detailed and very accurate processes. They have outlined everything, which I will go step by step. I'll go through them. And then the other thing is the National Recruitment Application System, which is called OREO. So these two things should happen side by side. You should be aware of during your, I would say it's best thing to work in the UK is to join as trust grade job, because that gives you an opportunity to improve yourself and basically grow yourself to the point where you won't be pointed out and you won't feel disappointed, because if it happens later in the training, it can have serious implications, or you might regret not joining a normal trust grade post. So as I said, the timeline, the eligibility criteria, and the personal specification, these are the documents that you need to go through from RCP-CH website. I will outline the steps which are, or I will outline the points which are mentioned there. And then the national system Oriel. So Oriel is the way where all the UK graduates or international graduates who have GMC registration, they get registered and then they can apply for any training post. So first thing first, you need to make an Oriel account. Go to oriel.nhs, register yourself with your email, and then follow the process through. It will ask your personal details, your experience, your right to work in the UK, which you can leave if you are outside. And just, it's quite self-explanatory and very easy application, but definitely it needs time, and it would require you to fill all your employment history, your qualifications, and your work experiences. So that's the first part. Now on OREO, you can search the vacancies for specialty slots. So all the training vacancies or positions, they are advertised on OREO. So first you finish the OREO registration, you create an account, register, fill everything, and then you apply, you go to the application and start registering for specific like pediatric ST3, ST4 application. The application opened between 23rd of November and the window closes by, I guess, 16th of December every year. And this is the national round 2, because this is the middle of the, almost, the second step of training. It's not ST1 that you are starting from the beginning. So with your pediatric, I will, what steps it has is, I will go through with you the OREO steps. So regarding the OREO application, once you are registered with OREO, go to application, select the vacancy you want to apply and open that application. So this application has 3 main parts. The first part, it will ask you about personal details like your name, your place of birth and everything. Then it will take you to equality and diversity. It is just for monitoring purposes. It asks about ethnicity, gender, etc. And then it takes you to the next step, which is employment history. So in employment history, you have to write all your experiences, and if you had certain gaps, you have to elaborate them with reasons. Then is your part 2. So part 2 consists of training history and previous training details. That's the first part. So I would say, because it is mostly regarding your previous, you have already shared your previous experiences, and if you have any training, you can write it there. You have to write about your GMC registration, your language skills, and if you have any special requirements. Then the important thing is your references. So your references should be filled by the consultants which you have worked in last 3 years. So what you need to do is write their name, email addresses, and their position. And if you are selected in as successful in this application, the recruitment leads will send these inquiry reference emails to your consultants to ask you about your practices. Then the next bar is fitness to practice, which is just your health and mental condition, any special circumstances, as well as declaration is also about your health, and if you have any medical legal declaration to say. And then the fourth part of this bit is competencies. So here it will ask you about your qualification and your entry qualification, etc., and if you have any other additional degrees. Most important part of OREO application is your supporting information. So your supporting information is the part where your application is basically gauged and scored. This information will be repeated in when I will talk about ST3 and ST4 application in specific. So just to give you outline, It asks you about your undergraduate certificates or qualification, your postgraduate qualification, any additional awards, distinction, your training courses, presentation and publication, your audit, teaching experience. Then it will ask you about suitability for specialty. This is kind of a statement that you have to write about yourself, about your career progression, and why you want to, why you have applied and what makes you suitable for this specialty. Then it takes you to management and leaderships, team working and communication skills. There is a very interesting bit in this application, which is a new OREO from this year, which says about support for the doctors who are new to the UK. So it will take you to certain organization which can help you to adapt to the NHS practices. So if you opt yes, then it will further guide you. Then it is that's mostly around it. Then it after you have finished your supporting information, which is extensive, and this is how your application will be scored. So this is the most important bit, and it comes around when I will talk about ST3, ST4 in specific. Then you write about your preferences, whether you want to stay in specific region, or you're open to anything. So you just have to list according to what jobs and where they are present, and then you just confirm your application. So this takes time, but I would say while you're working in the NHS as a trust grade job, try to collect as much evidence as possible, because each and every section of this assessment is based on your experience and specific experience in your audit, your teaching, your presentation, publication, research. So it just gathers your aptitude towards extra work, extra like non-clinical kind of a work. So that was about OREO. So give yourself plenty of time to organize yourself. In your trust grade job, try to engage yourself in quality improvement projects, in any managerial role like managing rota for presentation, teaching, and everything. So that is the OREO bit. Now I will come specially to the RCPCH bit. So eligibility for ST3, ST4 is again anyone who has GMC registration and can work in the UK with MRCPCH can be considered for this post. Now I will take you to pediatric application and interview assessment. And how would I like to divide my talk is, first I will go through what are the timeline and how the application is filled, what are the eligibility criteria, personal specification, and level 1 competencies. And then I would go to the interview structure, how it is scored. So in pediatrics, they are following application assessment as well as a virtual interview. So in some specialties, they are not even carrying out the virtual interview, and they're depending on other methods of assessment basically. So in short, the application window opens in November, almost like 26th of November every year, and it ends by 16th or 17th of December. And after that, they will thoroughly go through your application, and if you have met all the criteria and everything is crystal clear, they will shortlist you. So the shortlisting happens in like the second week of February onwards, and you would be communicated via OREO email. Now, after shortlisting, if you are successfully shortlisted, then you would be asked for interview. Interview usually happen between April 16 to 28 something, and then on the basis of interview as well as your application which you have applied on Oriel system, which I will shortly go through now. These two form the basics of your assessment. So 50% is assessment of your application and 50% is the assessment on your virtual interview. So now coming back to our application. So in order to fill the application, what is the eligibility criteria? For ST4, you need to have a full MRCP-CH with clinical, whereas for ST3, if you have part 1 and part 2 theories and they haven't expired and you still have a valid you're still valid to go for your clinical, then you can apply for ST3. Basically, the personal specification, they have given an online form which basically asks about qualification. Your eligibility qualification is your graduation, and then your MRCP as I described, MRCP-CH, and then eligibility is your GMC registration and your level 1 pediatric capabilities. And you should be eligible to work in the UK by the intended date, start date. The rest, it is generally a few things which GMC as well as NHS stresses over and over again are a part of good medical practice. So it consists of your fitness to practice, your health, your commitment to career progression, various aspects of our professional behavior and professional experience in life. So that is just for guidance, and each and every segment or part of this is either assessed by your application, how well you have presented your application, or it depends on your interview scoring. So just to name them, it is fitness to practice, that yes, you can safely practice. Your language skills, yes, that you can demonstrate written and spoken English. Health, that your health allows you. Career progression, and you have committed. For ST3, they have asked for at least 24 months of experience in pediatrics. And definitely it is true for ST4 as well, because ST4 would ask you for full neonatal competencies. Your definitely application completion. Selection criteria is based, as I said, on your application and then your interview. So outline features are your qualifications, which are essential part, then your clinical skills, your academic skills, personal skills, and that has all like how you communicate, how empathetic you are, your managerial skill, your organization, your coping with pressure and everything. Then comes probity, then comes commitment to specialty, that you can show that your references, or whenever they will ask after your selection, they will basically assess by asking your referring consultants about all these in specific as well. So that was about the eligibility. So in a nutshell, if you have experience, level 1 qualification, competencies, and then your MRCP-CH, that is all about the eligibility. Application windows are from November to December, and if you are successful, then automatically you are in the flow, and the information will come to you via email. Now I will go through level 1 competencies. So level 1 competencies is a form which is there on the RCPCH website, and it is to download, and you need to give yourself time to read through it. It's quite extensive, and it is very, very critical in your assessment and to upload in your application. So this form explains and asks about each and every detail which is required for a doctor to practice in pediatrics in the UK. and it should be signed by a consultant whom you have worked with at least more than 3 months in last 3.5 years. So this can happen even outside the UK, but yeah, as most of us are who are applying, I would assume that we should have a consultant like an educational supervisor or your clinical supervisor who should be able to sign this in the UK for you. So I want to again stress on the point that not even a single competency should be left unattended. It should be filled thoroughly and completely. If you have, if somebody has not commented or not signed off, then whole of the form is rejected. Now the first page, it says about your name, your signature, your GMC number, and then the same application could be signed for ST3 and ST4. It just has, whenever you are signing any competency, so the quality or the type of competencies are there for ST3, ST4. It's just the level which is different. So what they have done is that in a single application you can apply for ST3 as well as ST4. So right, going back to the application, first domain is your professional values and behavior, and if you have proven to have sufficient evidence, yes or no, your consultant should be able to sign, or insufficient, if anything is insufficient, this form is useless. So again, it is quite self-explanatory. So first domain is your professional values, then it comes on your skills. So it is your skills and knowledge in communication. Again, it's highly dependent on the consultant who is filling the form. So each and every domain, it has the segment, yes, the consultant is satisfied with you up to this level, and then it has a comment segment below it. So consultant has to explain by which evidence or with what experience he is convinced or she is convinced that you are able to show these or you have shown these competencies. So I would say that be very honest in the UK, because everyone is answerable against GMC for each and everything. Even a form that you have signed 10 years ago and it was incorrect, it can come and people come and ask you. So people remain very, very meticulous. They can at times be hesitant to sign each and every competency. So you can get it signed by multiple consultants, that is not an issue. But be for example, if you have worked in a research situation and your clinical supervisor hasn't seen you showing all those competencies, but some other consultant has worked with you and is it's truthfully there, witnessed, so then you can go to that consultant and get the competencies signed. Please try to be extremely honest and extremely explicit in details about these competencies. GMC is very strict, as well as RCPCH. They can find ways to actually, because once you are in front of them for the interview, they can easily assess how strong you are in your specialty and what is the level of command in each and every skill that you have demonstrated here or written here. So try to be very straightforward and very meticulous about how these competencies are signed. Handwriting should be very clear. If you want them, you can ask the consultant that if they can write it for you, and you can type it in, and then in the end they will sign it off. So I had uploaded like 2 specialties. When I uploaded, I asked my consultant, she like I'm really thankful to her that she went through each and every experience, like if there was about leadership, or it was about research, or it was about communication. So she actually explained that there was a complicated or a communication gap in a complicated baby admitted in the neonatal unit, and how I was the registrar, and how the processes went through, and what made her be satisfied with my management. So giving any example will make the assessors more convinced that this is like really true. So try to keep it very direct and picking on the clinical instances and then elaborating your clinical skill will make your application more convincing and more truthful. Like it's really depicts, it basically depicts you. It is not a generic form which is filled by for any XYZ person, but this is you, which is who is reflected in this application. So coming back to the skills I was about, then is the third domain is clinical procedures. So clinical procedures, pediatrics has simply 4 procedures which are essential for any pediatric doctor at level 2. So as a registrar, you need to know how to cannulate a baby, to be able to perform lumbar puncture, and then it's about intubation and umbilical venous catheterization, not even arterial. So these are very 4 basic steps, and I think if you have worked as a registrar anywhere in the world, you should be able to have these skills in you. But as I've said, when it becomes personalized, and if your consultant is highlighting your skill as he has seen you doing it, it makes it more convincing. So right, going to the other domain, which is patient management. So patient management, again, it is not just management of asthma or epilepsy or acute crisis or anything. It's more related to psychological and social behavior and everything. So how better you can explain in those soft areas, the better will be, you know, the assessors will get a better idea of your personality. So moving on then is health promotion and prevention. So you know, just to be aware of the inequalities, disabilities, life expectancies, and effects of environment. It is quite self-explanatory, and how you have demonstrated and how it relates to your personal experience. Again and again, I'm coming back to the same comment, but it's really important. Your domain 6 is your leadership and team working. Then comes your patient safety and safe prescribing. I would say safe prescribing, you can also refer to any online courses that you have done for safe prescribing. We sometimes take it lightly, but I would say in pediatric practice, as you progress in your career and you work in bigger centers, you would imagine that a lot of major mortalities and morbidities can be prevented by prevention of drug error. So this NHS takes it very seriously. So I would say if you have any reference to put in here, go for it. And be more, if you want to do any course, I don't think so it's extensive. Most of the trusts, they do have their online prescribing course, or you can just opt for one and get it done. Then is your quality improvement, very self-explanatory, any project that you have done. And I would come to the level of how the quality improvement project will be gauged in your in the assessment of your application. Then your safeguarding, so you recognize you're able to produce a plan and response and everything. So that's again an evidence you need to show that you have the valid safeguarding course, the level 3 pediatric safeguarding course, and short and long term implication. And if you have done any safeguarding medical assessment with your consultant or independently, and then you have of course you will do it with the consultant, but if you have taken the lead and have done it, then that consultant is ideal to get this competency signed. Then is your education and training, like if you were able to give any teaching and what is your teaching experience. This again counts for your application assessment. I will come back to it again. Research and scholarships, again, it's very self-explanatory. If you have any research or scholarships, of course it's not a short-term thing that you can change, but if you have, you will get positive points with that. And then it's the declaration that everything is very much authentic, up to your knowledge, as well as the consultant who has signed it. And then you are done with your level 1 application. So I would say give yourself plenty of time. Go through each and every domain in depth, If you have created your own notes for referring to any specific competency while you were doing any specific patient procedure or management or a research scenario, then probably prompt your consultant to write in that respect so everything comes in line. So that was about your competencies. When I have gone through the eligibility, now I would now I would move to your application scoring framework. Scoring framework is again quite extensive topic, and I want to share many experiences and add on to every bit. So I would rather say that this I will continue in my next video, and um, um, and I would say that pediatric application is basically knowing where you want to find your documents, download document, go through each and every one of them, and then get them signed. Make sure that you are well prepared before time, and then upload all the documents. I would say now that is end of this topic, and I wish you all the best. And if you have any comments, I'm more than happy to discuss and answer your queries. All the best, and I would be looking forward to making the next video for assessment of the application. Thank you and bye.